I guess I should start with who I am, or at least who I thought I was before that call turned my life upside down. My name's Jake, 34, just a regular guy who spent the last 8 years building what I thought was a rock-solid marriage with Laura. I'm not the type to overshare, but here on Reddit, I figure maybe someone's been through this too, and I need to get it off my chest. Growing up, I had a front row seat to what a bad marriage looks like. My dad was the kind of man who'd promise my mom the world, then sneak off with someone else like it was nothing. I'd hear her crying through the walls at night, see her try to smile through it the next day. It broke her, piece by piece, until she was just a shadow of herself. I swore I'd never let that happen to me. When I met Laura, I told her all of it, laid it bare on our third date, probably sounding like a nervous kid. I said I wanted us to be different, built on trust, on something real. She looked me in the eyes and said she wanted that too. I believed her. For 8 years, I thought we had it. We weren't perfect, sure. I work long hours at the warehouse, and she's got her graphic design gig that keeps her glued to her laptop half the time. But we made it work. We cooked dinner together, laugh at dumb TV shows, plan for future, maybe a house, maybe kids someday. The little things kept us going, you know? Like how she'd leave me notes on the fridge when she left early, just saying, love you, see you tonight. I'd hold on to those like they were proof we were solid. And there was this one moment early on that sealed it for me. We were broke, living in a tiny apartment, and I'd had a rough day. Some jerk at work chewed me out, and I came home feeling like trash. Laura didn't say much, just sat with me on that lumpy couch, her hand on mine, and said, "We're in this together, Jake." Always. That stuck with me. It was our vow, unspoken but real. I thought it meant something. Then came a call. It was last Tuesday, around 7 p.m. I was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through my phone, waiting for Laura to get home from a late meeting. She'd been having those a lot lately, but I didn't think much of it. Design deadline, she said. The phone rang, and I didn't recognize the number. I almost let go to voicemail, but something made me pick up. "Hello," I said, half distracted. The voice on the other end was shaky, hesitant. "Jake, this is David, from Laura's work." I sat up a little. David's one of those coworkers I've met maybe twice. Quiet guy, keeps to himself. I think he came to our barbecue last summer, but we didn't talk much. "Hey, David, what's up?" I asked, figuring maybe he needed something work-related. There was a long pause, and then he said it. "Look, man, I don't know how to say this, but Laura's been seeing someone. Some guy named Ryan Carter. For months." It felt like the air got sucked out of the room. I just sat there, phone pressed to my ear, hearing my own heartbeat thudding loud enough to drown him out. "What?" I managed, my voice sounding like it belonged to someone else. David kept going, like he couldn't stop now that he'd started. I saw them together a few times, lunches, late nights at the office. I didn't want to believe it either, but it's real. I'm telling you because my ex did the same thing to me. Tore me apart, and I can't watch someone else go through that blind. I don't even remember what I said after that. Something like thanks or I gotta go, and then I hung up. The silence hit me hard. Ryan Carter. I didn't even know who that was. Some stranger who'd apparently been closer to my wife than I had for months. That call was the moment everything shattered. 1 second, I'm just a guy waiting for his wife to come home, thinking about what we'd eat for dinner. The next, I'm staring at the wreckage of everything I thought we were. I kept replaying David's words, trying to make them not fit. Laura? My Laura? The woman who'd promised we'd be different? It didn't make sense. I hadn't seen a single sign. No late-night whispers. No suspicious texts. Nothing. I'm not the paranoid type. Never went through her phone or grilled her about where she'd been. Maybe that's why it hit me so hard, because it didn't come from me catching her. It came from David, some guy I barely know, dropping this truth on me like a brick through a window. That made it worse, somehow. She'd hidden it so, well, I didn't even have a hunch. How long had she been lying? How many of those fridge notes were just a cover? I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch, staring at the door, waiting for her to walk in. She got home around 9, all smiles, saying the meeting ran long. I just nodded, throat tight, watching her move around the kitchen like nothing was wrong. My head was a mess. Part of me screaming it couldn't be true, part of me feeling this sick twist in my gut that it was. My whole life, I told myself I'd never be my mom, sitting there while someone I loved made a fool of me. But there I was, 8 years in, and it was happening anyway. Everything I'd built with Laura, every promise we'd made, was hanging by a thread. And the worst part? I didn't know what to do next. Confront her? Dig for proof? Or just sit there pretending I didn't know until I figure out how to face the truth? I don't know how I made it through the days after David's call. It's like I split in two. One Jake going through the motions, smiling at Laura over dinner, asking how her meeting went, while the other Jake was screaming inside, clawing at the walls of my own head. I posted about it here on Reddit last week, and some of you said to confront her right away. I wanted to believe me. Every time she walked in the door, I'd feel this heat in my chest like I was about to explode. But I couldn't, not without knowing for sure. If I was wrong, I'd blow up 8 years of marriage over nothing. If I was right, well, I needed proof to face it. So I kept it together, played the part of the clueless husband, all while my mind churned. I'd lie awake at night, her breathing steady next to me, wondering who she really was. How do you even do that? Act normal when your whole world's crumbling. I decided I couldn't just wait for answers to fall in my lap. Sitting there, stewing, was eating me alive. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. Yeah, it sounds dramatic like something out of a movie, but I found a guy online, discreet, no questions asked. His name was Mike, ex-cop, gruff voice, said he'd seen it all. I met him in a diner across town, hands shaking as I slid him a photo of Laura and told him what David said. Give me a week, he grunted, pocketing the cash I'd scraped together. I felt dirty doing it, like I was betraying her somehow, but I kept thinking about my mom, how she never knew for sure until it was too late. I wasn't going to be that guy. I also called a divorce lawyer just to cover my bases. She was nice, straight to the point, told me to document everything. It was surreal, sitting there talking about grounds and assets, like my marriage was already a corpse. Waiting for Mike's report was the longest week of my life. I go to work, haul boxes, not at my coworkers, but my head was somewhere else. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach dropped, half hoping it was Laura confessing, half dreading it was Mike with the truth. She didn't act any different, though. She'd come home, kiss my cheek, ramble about her day. Once, she even laughed about some guy at work spilling coffee, and I just stared at her, wondering if Ryan Carter was the punchline. The notes on the fridge kept coming too. Love you, late night tonight. I'd crumple them up when she wasn't looking. Then Friday hit. Mike called me to a parking lot, handed me a folder. It's all there, he said, no emotion. Photos of Laura with some guy, tall, dark hair, smirking, outside a restaurant in a car. Text too, one she deleted from her phone, but he'd pulled somehow. Dinner tomorrow, one said. Miss you, she'd replied. I sat in my truck, staring at those pictures, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. It was real. Months of it right under my nose. I couldn't wait anymore. That night, Laura got home late again. 11 p.m., hair messy, saying the project was a mess. I let her ramble while I set the folder on the table. When she stopped, I looked at her and said, "We need to talk." My voice was steady, but inside I was a wreck, heart pounding, palms sweaty. I slid the photos across. Who's Ryan Carter? Her face froze, just for a second, then she laughed, nervous, fake. What is this, Jake? She said, picking one up. I didn't blink. You tell me. Because I've got texts too. She went quiet, staring at the evidence, and I waited for the excuses, the tears, anything. But then she shrugged. Shrugged. Okay, fine, she said, voice flat. It's been going on a while. I was going to stay with him tomorrow night anyway. It was like she'd slapped me. I'd braced for a fight, for her to beg or lie. But this casual whatever attitude, it cut deeper than anything else could have. Something snapped in me. I stood up, hands shaking, and said, "If you walk out that door for him, we're done." I mean it, Laura. She looked at me, eyes cold, and grabbed her purse. "Guess we're done then," she said, like she was ordering takeout, not ending us. The door clicked shut behind her. I just stood there, chest heaving, the silence ringing in my ears. I don't know what I expected. Maybe for her to turn back, to care, but she didn't. And that's when I decided I wasn't playing the fool anymore. I started packing her stuff, clothes, books, that stupid lamp she loved, hours of it, hauling it all to the porch. By 3 a.m., every trace of her was outside, piled up like garbage. I locked the door, sat on the couch, and stared at the empty space where her shoes used to be. It felt good, in a raw, angry way, but it wasn't over. She'd left, yeah, but what came next? I just burned 8 years to the ground, now what? After Laura walked out and I dumped her stuff on the porch, I knew there was no turning back. I posted about it here on Reddit, and some of you cheered me on, saying I'd done the right thing. Others asked if I was sure. 8 years is a long time to just torch. I get it, but I couldn't let her come back like nothing happened. The next morning, I changed the locks. It wasn't even about keeping her out. It was about me taking control of something, anything. The house felt like a ghost town after that. Her coffee mug still in the sink, her jacket gone from the hook. I catch myself staring at the empty spots, half expecting her to walk in with that tired smile, saying, "Hey, babe." But she didn't. The silence was loud, heavier than I'd imagined. I'd sit on the couch, scrolling through old photos on my phone, us at the beach, her laughing at my terrible grilling skills, and wonder how it all went so wrong. The first few days were a blur. Work was my escape, lifting boxes, joking with the guys, but when I got home, it hit me again. Loneliness isn't just quiet. It's this ache that creeps into everything. I'd cook for one, eat in front of the TV, and try not to think about how we used to argue over what to watch. One night, I found a card she'd written me years ago, tucked in a drawer, to my rock, "Love you forever." I sat there holding it, tears stinging my eyes, until I finally ripped it up. It felt like a tiny win, letting go of that promise she'd broken. But it didn't erase the doubt. Had I been too quick to kick her out? Was there a chance David and the PI got it wrong? I'd replay her shrug, her guess we're done, and it'd pull me back to reality. No, she made her choice. Still, the mess of it all, losing her, losing us, left me feeling like I was drowning in my own house. Then Sarah showed up, Laura's sister. She's a couple years younger, blunt, always had this protective streak for Laura. I liked her, though. We bonded over dumb stuff like bad sci-fi movies at family dinners. So when my phone lit up with her name a few days after the showdown, I braced myself. "Jake, what's this garbage about Laura cheating?" she snapped the second I picked up. "You're full of it." She told me you flipped out, accused her of stuff she didn't do. My stomach twisted. Of course Laura got to her first. "Sarah, I've got proof," I said, keeping my voice even. She laughed, bitter. "Proof? You're just trying to ruin her. I can't believe I ever thought you were decent." She hung up before I could say more. It hurt. Sarah's opinion mattered, and now she saw me as the bad guy. I figured that was it. Another piece of my life Laura took with her. But it didn't end there. 2 days later, Sarah texted me. "Can we talk?" In person. I didn't know what to expect, but I said yeah. She showed up that evening, arms crossed, looking ready to fight. I let her in, and before she could start, I handed her the folder, Mike's photos, the texts, all of it. "Read it," I said, stepping back. She flipped through, her frown deepening. I watched her face shift, anger melting into something else. She lingered on a photo of Laura and Ryan outside some cafe, his arm around her, then the texts. "Can't wait to see you tonight." She didn't say anything for a minute, just sat there, folder in her lap. Finally, she looked up, eyes softer. "She told me you made it up. Said you were jealous, controlling." I believed her. Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry, Jake. I didn't know." It was like a weight lifted. Not all of it, but enough to breathe. Sarah, of all people, seeing the truth? I hadn't seen that coming. After that, she didn't just disappear. She started texting me every couple days, little things like, "You okay?" or "Need anything?" One night, she showed up with a bag of takeout, burgers and fries, nothing fancy. Thought you could use a break from cooking, she said, plopping down on the couch like it was normal. We ate, watched some terrible alien movie, and for the first time in weeks, I laughed. It wasn't much, but it felt human, you know? Sarah's turnaround was slow at first. She'd been so ready to defend Laura, bought every lie her sister fed her. But once she saw the evidence, it flipped a switch. She's my sister, but this is messed up, she told me that night. You didn't deserve it. Hearing that from her, someone who'd been in Laura's corner, hit different. It wasn't just me against the world anymore. Sarah got it, really got it. And that small win, having her on my side, made me feel less like I was losing my mind. But it left me wondering, if Sarah could see the truth, who else might? The divorce kicked off like a storm I couldn't outrun. I posted about kicking Laura out a while back on Reddit, and a lot of you said I'd done the hard part. But man, I wasn't ready for what came next. We had our first meeting with the lawyers a couple weeks after she left. Me, my attorney Lisa, Laura, and her guy, all crammed in some stuffy office downtown. I've been dreading it, replaying her shrug in my head, that cold guess we're done. I figured she'd at least own up to it with the evidence I had, but nope. She walked in, head high, looking at me like I was the one who'd lost it. Jake's making this up, she said, voice steady, leaning into her lawyer. He's jealous, paranoid. There's no affair. I clenched my fists under the table, heat creeping up my neck. 8 years, and she was rewriting it all like I was the villain. I wanted to yell, throw something, but Lisa put a hand on my arm. We've got this, she whispered. I had to trust her. I was too tired to fight alone. The system itself felt like a maze. Paperwork, dates, arguments over who got the couch. It was exhausting. I'd come home from work, crash on that same couch, and stare at the ceiling, wondering if it was worth it. Some nights, I'd doubt myself again. What if I'd overreacted? But then I'd think of the photos, the texts, her walking out for Ryan, and it'd light a fire in me. I wasn't doing this just to win. I needed the truth out there for me, for closure. Lisa kept me grounded, prepping me for every move. She's banking on you folding, she'd say. Don't. Sarah helped too, texting me dumb memes to keep me sane, reminding me I wasn't crazy. Still, facing Laura across that table, her acting like I'd dreamed it all up, wore me down. I'd built a life with her, and now I was fighting to prove it had been real, and that she'd wrecked it. It's a grind most of you probably get, pushing through when you're running on fumes. Then came a moment everything flipped. Lisa had told me to sit tight, that we'd drop the hammer when the time was right. Halfway through that first meeting, Laura was still spinning her tale, how I'd misunderstood her late nights, how I'd driven her away. Her lawyer nodded along, scribbling notes. I could barely look at her, this stranger wearing my wife's face. Then Lisa slid a laptop onto the table, calm as anything. Let's clear this up, she said, and hit play. The video started, grainy at first, but unmistakable. Laura and Ryan, caught by Mike the PI, walking out of some hotel, laughing, his hand on her back. Then another clip. Them in his car, her leaning over close. The room went dead quiet. Laura's jaw dropped, eyes wide, like she'd seen a ghost. Her lawyer sputtered, "Where'd you get this?" Lisa just smiled. Legally obtained. Anything else to add, Mrs. Carter? Laura didn't say a word. She couldn't. It was like watching her whole act collapse in slow motion. And for the first time, I felt the ground steady under me. What came next threw me even more. After the video, Laura clammed up, and the meeting wrapped fast. Her lawyer looked rattled, muttering about reassessing. A few days later, David, the coworker who tipped me off, texted me an update. Laura had quit her job out of the blue and skipped town. Word was she'd gone to Oregon with Ryan. I figured that was it, until David dropped a bomb. She's been telling people she's pregnant with his kid. I laughed at first. Couldn't help it. It was so absurd. But then it sank in. She doubled down, weaving this wild lie to keep her story going. It wasn't until her own lawyer messed up in a follow-up call with Lisa that it unraveled. No medical records, no proof, Lisa told me, grinning. She made it up, probably to guilt-trip you, or win sympathy. I sat there, stunned. Pregnant? That was a new low, even for her. It showed me how far she'd go, how desperate she'd gotten to dodge the truth. Her downfall came quick after that. With the video out, her pregnancy lie exposed, and her disappearing act, she had nothing left to stand on. The lawyers hashed out a settlement. Clean split. No alimony. House stays mine. She didn't fight it. Guess she knew she'd lost. David said Ryan's catching flack too. His buddies aren't thrilled he's tangled up with her. Last I heard, they're holed up somewhere, probably pretending it's all fine. Me? I signed the papers yesterday, and when I put the pen down, it was like a weight dropped off my shoulders. Not all of it. I still wake up reaching for her sometimes, but enough to feel free. The truth's out. She's gone, and I'm standing. It's not a win you cheer for, more like a quiet nod to yourself. I made it through. Now I'm just sitting here, wondering what I do with all this space, literal and otherwise. Any ideas, Reddit? The divorce papers showed up in the mail a week ago, and I just sat there, holding them, staring at my name next to Laura's on that final line. It's weird how a few sheets of paper can end 8 years, like closing a book you've read too many times. I posted about the last round on Reddit, and a lot of you said it'd get easier from here. I wanted to believe that, but the quiet in the house still hit me hard some nights. I'd walk past the spot where her stuff used to be, and it'd stir up memories, good ones, bad ones, all tangled together. The fallout wasn't loud anymore. No lawyers, no fights, just me figuring out how to fill the space she left. I go to work, come home, cook something simple, and try to feel normal. Sarah kept checking in, and that helped, but I knew I had to move forward, not just tread water. Healing's a slow burn, I guess. Then something shifted. Last month, work sent me to a warehouse 2 hours away for a training thing. Nothing big, just a day of hauling boxes and listening to safety talks. That's where I ran into Emily Harper. We'd been friends back in high school, lost touch after graduation. She was there dropping off supplies for her dad's store, and we recognized each other right away. Same goofy laugh, same freckles across her nose. "Jake?" "No way," she said, grinning, and we ended up grabbing coffee after. It was easy talking to her, no pressure, no baggage. She'd been through her own mess, a breakup that left her jaded, but she had this quiet strength I couldn't ignore. One coffee turned into dinners, then long phone calls. Before I knew it, I was looking forward to her texts, her voice cutting through the fog I'd been stuck in. It wasn't some fairy tale lightning bolt. It was steady, real, and that's what got me. Getting to know Emily was like finding a door I didn't know was there. After Laura, I'd figured I'd be on my own for a while, maybe forever if I'm honest. The idea of trusting someone again felt impossible, like handing over a piece of me I'd just gotten back. But with Emily, it snuck up on me. We'd sit on her porch, splitting a pizza, talking about dumb stuff like old movies or her dog's obsession with socks, and I'd catch myself smiling, really smiling, not just faking it. One night, she told me about her ex, how he'd lied to her for years, and I told her about Laura. She didn't flinch, just nodded and said, "You're tougher than you think, Jake." That stuck with me. Feeling that spark again, that pull toward someone new, was a relief I didn't see coming. It wasn't about replacing Laura. It was about realizing I could still feel something good. Her family sealed it. Emily's parents invited me over for dinner a couple weeks ago. Small house, warm vibes, the kind of place that smells like home cooking. Her dad shook my hand. Her mom hugged me like I'd been around forever. They didn't pry, just asked about my job, laughed at my bad jokes. It was the opposite of Laura's world, where everything felt like a performance. My own mom came around too. She'd been on me to work it out with Laura back when things first blew up, kept saying marriage was worth saving, probably thinking of her own regrets with Dad. But after Sarah showed her the truth, she called me up. "I was wrong, honey," she said, voice shaky. "You're better off." Hearing that from her, after all the guilt trips, felt like another lock clicking open. With Emily's folks and my mom in my corner, I started to see a life beyond the wreckage. I made my choice last weekend. Emily and I were driving back from a hike. Nothing fancy, just a trail she loves, and I looked over at her, hair messy from the wind, humming some song I didn't know. I pulled over, took her hand, and said, "I'm all in if you are." She smiled, squeezed my hand back. "Took you long enough," she teased. That was it. No grand speech, just us deciding to build something together. The past still stings sometimes. I'll hear a song Laura loved or find an old photo and feel that ache. But it's quieter now, less sharp. I'm not running from it anymore. I'm just walking toward something else. The house doesn't feel so empty these days. Emily's been over, leaving her mark with a stray sock or a coffee cup. It's not perfect, but it's mine, and I'm okay with that. So here I am, Reddit, wrapping this up. The guy who started this thread months ago, reeling from that call, isn't me anymore. I've got the divorce behind me, Emily beside me, and a future I can actually picture. It's not all tied up with a bow. Some days are still heavy, but I'm moving forward one step at a time. I think about my dad less now, about how I swore I'd never let trust break me like it broke my mom. I didn't. I fought for the truth, lost a lot, but found something too. Last night, I stood on my porch, watching the stars blink through the trees, and thought, this is enough. I'm enough. And that's where I'll leave it, with the sky wide open and me finally breathing free.